Welcome to the 2025 Herbie Awards, presented by AT&T. Here are your hosts, Matt Barrie and Kirk Herbstreit.
It is a holiday tradition unlike any other, the Herbies here on ESPN, where we get together and celebrate college football's best. And Kirk, another great regular season with plenty of players and coaches to celebrate.
Another tough year, man. I appreciate you doing the show. And another tough year to try to come up with all these great categories, but there's maybe 15 names. You got to narrow it down to 3. So another great year of college football, a lot of excitement, a lot of great moments. And we had a lot of fun putting this list together this year.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the list. I'm like, how's he going to decide? But we have to decide to give them a Herbie. We're going to start things off with the Offensive Player of the Year.
Well, this is a tough one. Like we said, you could put a lot of guys on here. Jeremiah Love certainly deserves to be in there. Great combination of speed and power. Really just think about the year he had. One of the best years that a Notre Dame running back has had in decades. And, you know, we saw him last year. He carried on with the pressure on this year and maybe even raised the bar. Of course, Fernando Mendoza going to win a lot of awards. He's going to get the Herbie as well, I'm sure, somewhere along the way tonight. He is a guy that had so many special moments. Maybe that's his Heisman moment, but just leading IU to some uncharted waters. And Diego Pavia, our third and final candidate. This is a guy that, of course, took Vanderbilt to a whole different level, running, throwing, doing so many things, not to mention bringing an attitude and just a determination to kind of go to that next level as a player and as a team.
The Herbie Award for Offensive Player of the Year goes to Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia.
Well, you know, I mean, you could give it to anybody on this list. I'd like to be a little bit different, you know, and I think this has everything to do with where this program has been before Clark Lee got back to his alma mater and Diego Pavia transferred in. Yeah, every single time it just seems like he would step up, make plays. He had some swag, of course, which I think was new for all of us to see that Vandy uniform, having a guy doing things like that. But I look at any of these individual awards and how they impacted the team. And in my opinion, I don't know if anybody in the country impacted their team the way Diego Pavia did.
And how about the impact in November, averaging over 400 yards per game in the month that counted? What a remarkable season and finish for Diego Pavia. Okay, that's the Offensive Player of the Year, Herb. Let's go now to the Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, we got a lot of great candidates here as well. We're going to start with Jacob Rodriguez. How much fun did we have watching this former walk-on quarterback at UVA? Ended up having an incredible year and career. Captain of Texas Tech defense, Bronco Nagurski Award winner as best defensive player, and more importantly, I think, was just always there as a great leader. Arvell Reese, I watched him against Texas, and I knew about him last year. I said, oh my gosh, he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger, he's gotten faster. They moved him from off-ball linebacker to defensive end, did so many things for that Ohio State defense, will continue in the postseason. And C.J. Allen, used to be Nakobe Dean in the middle of that defense, number 17. He's now in Philly with the Eagles. C.J. Allen continues the tradition for Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann. They always have that alpha in the middle, just a guy that can blitz, a guy that makes tackles, and a guy who's, again, a tremendous leader for that Georgia defense.
The Herbie Award for Defensive Player of the Year goes to Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
Well, I think the thing that stood out to me, calling a couple of their games, was just the way he forced fumbles. I think he led the nation with 7. He had 4 interceptions, so just a dynamic playmaker. And I tell you, Matt, you do this every week as well. When you sit down to talk to some of these guys, they just feel a little bit different. This guy felt like you were talking to an NFL linebacker when you would sit down and talk to him, well beyond his years as far as maturity. And I think it has everything to do with just an appreciation. You start as a walk-on. You kind of earn your way to becoming one of the faces of the sport. I think he doesn't take one day for granted. And again, another great leader for a great football team.
And by the way, how about towards the end of the season, they would line Jacob Rodriguez in at quarterback near the goal line to get him some touchdowns, maybe to get some of that Heisman campaign going back to his roots, but certainly a fun defensive player to watch. Okay, offense, defense, we need a coach of the year, Herbie.
All right. Again, how do you narrow this one down? We're going to start with, of course, Texas Tech. We just talked about Jacob Rodriguez, Joey McGuire, who's a former high school coach in Texas, had a great career. Used to be with Matt Rule at Baylor, gets his first opportunity in Lubbock, and oh my gosh, what a job he has done in such a brief time in Lubbock. Jim Mora, 9-3 this year. A win against the ACC champ Duke, 9-4 last season, has done so well. He actually took another job. He's headed to Fort Collins to take the Colorado State job, but congrats to him on a great year. How about Tony Elliott at Virginia? 5-7 a year ago, 10-3, with an opportunity to get into the CFP if they would have beaten Duke in the ACC championship. What a job he did at leading the former Clemson offensive coordinator, doing great things in Charlottesville.
The Herbie Award for Coach of the Year goes to Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire.
Well, again, like I said, anytime you can take a team in just your fourth year, and everybody can say, well, of course, they put all that money into their roster. That's the one. No. We've seen teams put money into their roster and implode. It's called culture. It's called picking the right transfer portals that fit in with guys like Baron Morton and Jacob Rodriguez. Like, if you just pay guys and you don't have a culture to absorb them, you're seeing examples all over the country how that doesn't work. But there's something going on that's very different right now in Lubbock, and obviously Joe McGuire, as the head coach, has everything to do with that. Well, this is a good one. This could go back to last year, or it could be this year, where players started slow, like Arch Manning. A lot of people wrote him off, thought, oh, this guy, all that hype, he's terrible. He's not worth all that hype. All he did was finish the year with 3 300-yard passing games in his final 5 games, capped off with a huge win against Texas A&M, the number 3 ranked team. Deontay Lawson, what an incredible story. Tore ACL last year against Oklahoma, did not miss a game this year. He's a captain, wears the green dot, and really, to me, as Nick Saban left, I think it was Deontay Lawson who was the glue that kind of helped that defense stick together and really grow under a new staff. And then, of course, at Notre Dame, Boubacar Traore. He's a guy that last year missed out on a magical run for Notre Dame. Played just 5 games, ended up with an ACL, came back this year, had a great season, led Notre Dame with 7.5 sacks.
The Herbie Award for Redemption Player goes to Texas quarterback Arch Manning.
You know, like I said, Matt, I think he came in with unrealistic expectations.
Correct.
When this season started, people were talking about he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. He's better than Peyton. He's better than Eli. He's better than his grandpa. He's going to win a national championship. It'll be the first pick next year in the draft. And when that didn't pan out in the first half of the season, people were very, very critical. This guy can't make quick decisions. What's up with his throwing delivery? This. To his credit, he blocked all of that out. Didn't take any of it personally. If anything, I think it motivated him to go out and help his teammates win games. And I was really happy for him enduring that, Matt, and coming out on the other side.
Yeah, and once you saw that cook a little bit, him get comfortable, I'm just telling you, the last team you probably wanted to play if they got into the playoff was Texas, because they were humming on all cylinders, led by Arch Manning. Great for him to handle that adversity and then finish the season strong. Let's go now to our newcomer player.
Well, this is, Bear, we're going to start with Bear Bachmeier. He is a true freshman. He actually was at Stanford, enrolled early for spring ball, ended up transferring over to Provo. And when Jake Retzlaff left school, he became the guy. You know, and if you think about it, the first true freshman quarterback to start an opener in BYU history. Malachi Toney. If you watch Miami, quickly you see number 10. This guy should be a senior in high school. He's out there, Miami's most dynamic player as a true freshman. You can see he can throw it, he can run it, can catch it, can do so much. And then at Cal, Jaren Kiave Songapuatele. What a year he had. The lefty with the delivery, quick release, made so many big plays for Cal. Really kept them alive in many, many games and threw for 330 yards in a game that eliminated SMU from having an opportunity to get to the ACC championship game.
The Herbie Award for Newcomer of the Year goes to Miami wide receiver Malachi Toney.
Matt, I know you know all about this guy, but think about reclassifying.
Yeah.
Think about around the country. This kid, I don't know if he's 17, 18 years old, but he should be a senior in high school. And we did a couple of their games clearly, and you watch him in the CFP. If they get the ball to him in space, good luck tackling him. Texas A&M will have the first test of really being challenged against this guy and what he can do. Carson Beck, the others, the physicality gets a lot of attention. But that guy's dynamic ability, along with C.J. Daniels on the outside, that gives Miami a lot to deal with.
I was talking to Mario Cristobal earlier in the week. I'm like, man, Malachi Toney, his eyebrows raise, he smiles, and he goes, just wait, brother. That thing's just getting started. I believe that it is. Time player, big-time game.
Well, I picked 16-15 as a final, and it was until Dante Moore led the Ducks down on a 10-play, 54-yard drive. What a throw right there. Set him up for a game-winning field goal. Fernando Mendoza, we all know about not the final play, but it was a minute 51. They had to drive the length of the field in a hostile environment. Omar Cooper makes this play right there. No way he got that foot down. Yes, he did. What a comeback. And then Diego Pavia against Tennessee, 433 total yards. Vanderbilt's first win against Tennessee since 2018. You know, he had 10 plays of at least 20 yards, including 3 20-yard runs. What a performance, and especially in Knoxville.
The Herbie Award for Big-Time Player, Big-Time Game goes to Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza and wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr.
Well, I think we all remember the last play, but this was a must-win opportunity for Fernando Mendoza. Down 4, had a minute 51 to go, all the momentum favoring Penn State. Play after play, clutch performance. This ended up being one of the moments of the year. But really, Matt, to me, it was the entire drive with the season on the line, everything Indiana had accomplished that year. The pressure was there with Penn State back in the game, taking that 4-point lead, and he just calmly took them right down the field and eventually had that moment with that catch. But it was the catches that led up to it and the passes that led up to that that I think we're all going to always appreciate.
Yeah, and there's a couple things to that, Kirk. I mean, part one, Penn State still has top 5 talent. That was a really, really good football team on the road. And part two of that, Indiana and Mendoza did that without timeouts. They're all the way down at the other end of the field. You're thinking, uh-oh, here comes the upset of the year. And just calmly, the throws, the catches, no timeouts, provided us with one of the more memorable moments we've had in a fantastic regular season in college football. Okay, we've done all the Herbies, but the one that might count the most, Herbie, is the ultimate Herbie. Explain what that is and how we got there.
Well, if you like throwback, it's kind of like a throwback. Ultimate Herbie is the guys that are obviously doing great things on the field, but the guys that are impacting the locker room, the guys that are helping guys, whether it's a redshirt freshman, whether it's a guy that's had a bad game or a bad week, there's recognition of trying to keep the morale of the team up, being that captain, doing the right thing on and off the field. And I think we have 3 guys that I think definitely fit the billing of the Ultimate Herbie. It's hard to pick just one, but we're going to try our best to come up with one here. All right, here we go. The Ultimate Herbie. We're going to start with Jacob Rodriguez. Unbelievable season. Of course, his wife, Emma, is a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. That's all you need to know about him and his family. What an incredible. You think he's tough, you got to meet his wife, Emma. Jeremiah Love, dual threat, catches the ball out of the backfield. We've been talking about this guy all year. What a moment right there, by the way. Pitt had game day. Next thing you know, first series, game's over because of what he was able to do in that game and do it throughout the entire season. And then what a story. Amarian Smith from Michigan State. His mother passed away in 2024 of breast cancer just at the age of 41. He became the guardian of 4 younger siblings. They live with him, takes them to school, takes them around the facility, really becoming a parent to his 4 younger siblings.
The Ultimate Herbie Award goes to Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
Well, we talked about him earlier. Starting his career, I think, as a walk-on gave him great appreciation. Sitting down with him in production meetings, he just had a confident smirk about, in a humble way, just about what his team was capable of doing this year. I think he had a lot of confidence in his defense, a lot of confidence in leading this defense. And I think there's the best way to say it is championship teams are player-led. And when you get around the Texas Tech team, you kind of sense that something's different about this team. It's not just about Cody Campbell paying a lot of people. It's about there's a togetherness, and he, of course, and Bear Morton are kind of right in the heart of that, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, the ultimate mustache as well. We got to give him credit for that. But Kirk, I would say, look, we just talked about it a second ago in this era of college football. Don't you just love the story of a walk-on at a different position, switching it, and then bringing a championship mentality to a team that could have easily been written off just because they spent money in the portal? I'm cheering for him because he's just good for college football.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and again, I think that past, anybody who goes through that kind of past, wasn't a 5-star, had to earn his way. I think he looks in a mirror now as a captain, an All-American, a Bronco Nagurski winner, still sees that guy with a chip on his shoulder trying to prove people wrong. And I think he plays that way. I think he demands that from his teammates. And a big part of why this team is where they are. And again, off the field, the Herbie is not just about what you do on the field.
Sure.
This guy sets the bar. Very, very sharp guy.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch him walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let him look right at you.